Let's see, where are we here?
What kind of competition did Scobies have? You're about the only game in town, aren't you?
Well, Peerless, you know, the Peerless Steakhouse in Johnson City. But I guess as far as special entertainment, special occasions and all, we were about it. And nobody, I don't think anybody was at that level, you know. But with Mobile Stars, we had 3 Mobile Stars out of 5, 3 out of 5 Mobile Stars, and back then. So no Michelins, but you know. But anyway, but the Mobile Guide was real. You know, Mobile Guide and Duncan Hines at the time was kind of the food guides for here. You know, for the states, and Michelin, of course, in Europe. And see, and then later, you know, at Scobies we did a pantry where we could, you know, we did barbecue out there, and that's where the big T came from. Sharon was running the pantry, my wife, and then she came up with the T. Said let's put a big T in the pantry, so I think it'll sell. So, and we had it in the pantry for several months, and then we decided to put it into that. But she came up with that idea, and so it really worked out with, we've got a few people copying us now. So I remember one chain was talking about, you know, he kept trying to get headquarters to let them put a T in. It took them 3 years before the chain would let them. Now they got it all over the country. So do it everywhere. So we feel kind of flattered that the big chain kind of copied us on that, you know. But anyway, it's been a good item for us.
And the reason for the big T?
Oh, well, I mean, nobody was selling tea. We weren't even selling small teas, you know, but when you drink iced tea, you drink a lot of it. So we did a 32-ounce tea to start with. At the time, it was 50 cents when we first started it, you know. So it's $1 now. We're at 50 cents. Then we went 50, 60, and then 85, and then finally to $1. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you know, so when I first started Pals, I did a 9-ounce Coke in a 9-ounce cup. People were talking how big that Coke was because everybody else was doing 6 ounces at fountains. You know, they would do a 6-ounce Coke. I don't know if I'd have put you know, 16-ounce Cokes or 32-ounce big teas in at the time. I don't know what people would say. I think they probably thought it was vulgar to have something that big, you know. You can't drink all of that. So, but anyway, I guess it, you know, over time it evolved, and I think some of the slushies or whatever now have got 84 ounces or 54s or whatever they are. You know, you have to have a bigger car before you can buy them. Basically, it's still the same as it was. We didn't, of course, didn't have tea then, but the lineup is the same. And we had the drink station here. We had Fresh-O-Matics to steam the buns instead of microwave. So now we make a hot dog. We put hot wiener, hot chili, and everything on it. Then we wrap it, and then we steam the bun for like 7 seconds. So before that, we just used Fresh-O-Matic, and we put 5 or 6 buns in, steam that many buns, and make the hot dogs and go ahead and wrap them. And down where the grill is, I can tell you about, you want to get the shot down through there? But the milkshake machine, well, I had 2 milkshake machines at the time. We just had chocolate and vanilla, and had one for chocolate and one for vanilla, and they were all mixed in. Now we have chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry, and it mixes the mixed in mechanically. And then we had a smaller fryer here. And for this, they didn't have heat lights and stuff then. They had the lamps, but there was nothing like that for fast food. So I had an old popcorn machine, and I took all the insides out, put heat lights in, and we dumped our French fries in on the popcorn machine. And so we had the Fresh-O-Matics in here, and then now we're using a flat grill. But before, I had a conveyor machine, and we put our buns on one side and the meat on the other, and we'd load it from this end, and the meat would come out, and then it'd come out to the side and drop in the hot sauce. So that's where we fix the sauce burgers, we call them now. then it was just the hamburger, because that's the only one we had. We put pickle relish, ketchup, mustard, and spices in the sauce, and so everything was hot, and it saved you 3 steps about putting the condiments on the hamburger. So we went from that conveyor broiler, like a friend of mine said, yeah, I heard about that machine you had down there where you put a cow in on one side and a sack of flour on the other, and it comes out a hamburger. So anyway, we went from a conveyor broiler to a charcoal grill to a flat grill. But basically, everything the whole system is still the same, with upgrades with different registers, different milkshake machines, microwaves instead of Fresh-O-Matics. And at that time, and of course, now we toast the buns for big cows. But the whole system is basically hadn't changed in 54 years. So, if you get it right the first time, you don't have to change it. And another thing that we added later was a chipped ham sandwich. And Homer Longmire, which had Blue Circles in Knoxville at the time, he was a good friend of my dad's, and they were in the restaurant association together and everything. He was up visiting Dad. He came down to look at the place, and he said, "Pal, you ought to put in a chipped ham sandwich." He said, "That's our best seller at Blue Circle." And so he told me how to do it, where to get the ham and all like that. And so put the chipped ham sandwich in, and that was the first addition in addition to the hamburgers or sauce burgers that we had. And then we later on put in hot dogs. I think maybe in 1964 we had hot dogs, and we got the chili out at Scobie's here. We had a guy, we called him Burns, and he was a cook at Scobie's. And back during the Depression, he had worked in Maryville at a hot dog joint where they sold nickel hot dogs, and he had made the chili. And so I told Burns I was going to put in hot dog. He said, "Well, I can make you chili for you." I said, "Okay, you know how to make good chili?" And he said, "Oh yeah." And he said, "We won't have to buy that." He said, "I can make it." So that's where the chili recipe came from. It's from him. And so we kind of lucked out on that, but I think the chili is kind of what makes it. So we thank Burns for that. Tony Barone, he was a friend of mine. He's like a top restaurant designer. He was in Chicago, and he did all Richie Melman's things up to the pump room. And then he moved from Chicago to New York and got in the cosmetics business, manufacturing them. And he had a cosmetics counter in Bloomingdale's and Macy's, and he had a store in Soho where he sold cosmetics too. But anyway, he did that for a while, and then he liked horses, and so he's manufacturing his cosmetics so he could do it anywhere. And he came to Kingsport on another project which did not materialize for another person. And so he came to Scobie's, and I got to know him. In fact, I'd seen a place that he had done for Melman, and I copied the Clown Bar after it. When I took him up there, he said, "This looks different." I said, "Well, you ought to be. I copied it from you." He said, "Well, I thought it looked kind of familiar," but they had tiers all the way up. They had about a 30-foot ceiling, and they had tiers all the way up to the corner where you could just sit around up there and have drinks. And so I kind of copied that a little bit on the seating and stuff in the Clown Bar. But anyway, we got to be real good friends, and he lived here. My wife was in real estate at the time. She sold him a farm out in Baileyton, about 6 acres, and he had his horses and all out there in a riding ring. And he and his wife Karen, they like to ride the horses, so they manufactured the cosmetics and shipped them wherever and had their horses. And he stayed here for about 10 years, and we'd have dinner together about once a week. He and his wife would come in. We'd go in the back room at Scobie's, and so I told him, I said, "Tony, I've been thinking about doing a drive-through." And he said, "Oh, that'd be fun." So I always wanted to do one of those. So he grabbed a piece of paper, or grabbed a napkin. He took that and he started drawing. I was on the other side of the table. He drew that building, put that food on it and everything, so I could see it. He was drawing it upside down. He did that in about 5 minutes. He pushed that aside. He said, "Now here's another idea." And I said, "No, I don't even want to see anything else." I said, "That's what we're going to do." So the first ones we did was Colonial Heights, and we got styrofoam from a place in Johnson City that manufactured big blocks of styrofoam, and we took liquid nails and we glued them together and made a big hunk like to make the hot dog and the hamburger. And we took conduit and bent it and put piano wire and ran a battery to it to heat the wire. And we did it first ones in the basement at Scobie's, and we we made about 3 different sizes. We made one about 10 or 12 feet long where 2 people had to get on each end. We had short ones to carve out and had about 3 different sizes. And we glued that together with liquid nails. Then we took the heated wire and carved everything away from that styrofoam that didn't look like a hot dog. And so we had to paint it. So we had to be careful with the paint because paint would eat the styrofoam. So what we did, we took it to over to a fellow named Jarvis, Gary Height. Had a Corvette. He worked on Corvettes over on Bloomingdale. We took that over and we covered that thing completely in aluminum foil, and we got the paint from Hickory, North Carolina, a fiberglass paint. We got tomato red, we got pickle green, and so we got bun yellow and our bun brown, and so that's where we made the first ones. We had styrofoam all over the back lot at Scobie where we carved that out. That stuff blew everywhere, and so that's where we did the first 1 or 2. And then Gary took up all of his room in his shop, and he said, I hate to tell you, but he said, it just hurt my other business. I can't get my cars in here because that hot dog takes up all of my room. So we found a boat manufacturer in Elizabeth, and he made them for us. Well, he said, y'all gonna make more of these things? I said, yeah. He said, well, it'd be cheaper one-time cost, and we'll make a form for it. So that's where they made the form for the hot dog and the hamburger. So when we open a new store, we just call up and say, give us 1 large hot dog and 1 large hamburger to go. And so they make them and have them ready for us. So it's a lot easier than what it was. And the cup and the fries made it. Johnson Heard makes those, and then they're made out of aluminum. And then we have a sign shop to paint those. And so that's where the food on the building comes from. One thing I didn't mention about the Circle Burger, and this was the first drive-through experience. I had a speaker. It was kind of an afterthought, so I put in a window at the cashier, and as you pulled off the Memorial Boulevard there, I had a speaker like you used in a drive-in movie, and the cars if they'd pull in there and they had the menu and they would order over the speaker, and then I had like 2 cars in between, and the third one would be at the window to pick the food up. But if somebody didn't order at the speaker and pulled up to the window, it really screwed up the ordering, because then we had to take his order and fill it while he was sitting there. So then it held up the cars behind him. So I couldn't figure out why but some people, that's why didn't you order at the speaker? They say, well, I don't like talking to those things. So what I did, I took the speaker out and put in a telephone receiver, just a regular telephone. They just ticked off the hook, and they could talk, and we could hear it the same way as we could on the speaker. But psychologically, people were better used to talking on the phone. That didn't bother them. So that kind of solved the problem. So we hardly ever had anybody that didn't come through without talking to us on the phone first. Back to the one thing on PALS. I know I'm skipping around a lot here, but one thing on PALS, when I put that drive-through in, I was determined not to have speakers like everybody else had. Have speakers, and at that time the quality was not good. It's better now, but still you couldn't understand what they're saying, whether they understood your order. So that's why we order at one window, you talk to a person face to face, and they're understanding your orders, or what you want. At first when we did PALS, we did different color buildings, and we'd have contests at the schools to let a kid pick the color. And so it kind of created interest before we got there, when we started. And we'd have contests, and we'd pick a winner, and we'd put it in the paper or whatever. this kid here in the 3rd grade picked the pal's colors and all like that. So we got a lot of publicity out of what people wondering what's the next color going to be. So after a while, when we did the teal one, and we got more response, and people said that's your best color yet, and we really like that color. So then next time we painted, we changed them all to teal, except Gate City and the manager there, because of the Blue Devils, wanted to leave his blue, so we left Gate City blue. All the rest of them are teal. And here's a little office. We don't spend much time in the office. The operators and the managers there on the floor taking care of the customers and training and all, and we have our systems set up so that we really don't have to spend much time in the office. So everything's pretty well automated. The employees will clock in on the register, it automatically comes back to the computer, and then when we pay twice a month, we hit a button, and in 5 minutes all the checks are out. So we've got our system down pretty good. We use a system called Cystine that Snagajob owns now, and somebody in Johnson City came up. We worked with them for about 3.5 years to get our software the way we wanted. We couldn't find anything off the shelf, and they had sold it to Snagajob. But this whole system works really good for us. Snagajob now is marketing Cystine. I don't know whether they'll change the name of it or what, but anyway. But we have an agreement with them because we mention Cystine in our Business Excellence Institute classes and when we do programs, because it's part of our business, and we tell about them, we tell about creative energy, we tell about our other suppliers, which are an important part of our business. So people pick up on it and say, what about Cystine? I said, well, you contact Gene Maddox, and they can tell you about it. So they realize that we've been a part of marketing. So the agreement was they'll keep our part up, the HR part. If they make changes, they'll give it to us free, and they'll maintain ours for as long as we have it. And if they sell it to another company, they still have to maintain ours. That has to be in the agreement. But we own the rest of it, the other part that they're not marketing, so we have all of the code. So, but what it does, it's a whole complete training system from start to continue as long as they're there. So we come in, we have first of all, they can apply online, and we have 60 questions, or maybe 66 questions now. And when we first got this, we gave it to, in each store, we gave it to 3 of our best employees and 3 of our average employees. And we established an upper and a lower control limit. So when people take that test, they need to plot somewhere between there. Not below, not above, because one time we had a registered nurse, and she scored real good on it, and they wanted to hire him. But anyway, she thought she wanted to get out of the nursing business into the food business, and she lasted about 3 months and decided to go back to nursing. So even if they're better than you think or whatever, you have to maybe find a management position for them. But anyway, there's no right or wrong answers. It just determines whether you'll fit in our culture or not. So by her going over the limit, that showed that she didn't fit in our culture. Nothing against her; she was highly educated and a smart lady, but she just wouldn't have fit in our culture, So anyway, it kind of tells us that, and then we decide to hire them. And then we get all of their information, and then we have a PowerPoint presentation that they say, welcome to PALS, and it tells you all the rules, regulations, and all that. Then every process has, like, say, if you're gonna do hot dogs, it shows you exactly the steps to use in making a hot dog all the way through. And then we have flashcards, and so you can sit with somebody or sit with yourself, and every process has a flashcard. It has a question on the front, the answer on the back, like 3rd grade flashcards. And so you do the PowerPoint, you do the flashcards, and then an operator, will start you out, say, like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on hot dogs, we're going to show you how to do them. So there's also a flow chart on everything. It tells you the whole process of making a hot dog. Every process is flow charted. So then they'll make the hot dog. The manager, the operator, the trainer will make the hot dog, show the person how to do it. Then he'll let them make some. Then they'll go back and say, well, you did, this is good. You did this, but now this needs correcting here. So they work through that in maybe 2 or 3 days, and the operator will kind of watch and make sure that they're doing that thing right and stay right with them. Then he'll do what we call a POC, Position Observation Checklist. So then we have the whole process on making that hot dog, and they go through there and they say, do you understand this? Check every procedure, everything you do with the hot dog. You know how much chili to put on it, how much onion, how to put the mustard on, how to wrap them, how to mark them, do the whole thing. And then the employee signs that thing that they know how to make hot dogs. So if they come back later and they're putting on the mustard upside down or standing the wiener on its end, well, I didn't know you wasn't supposed to stand the wiener on its end. Well, let's go back to the POC. So you go back to POC, said, here, he said, do not stand wieners on the end, or whatever. And then they're tested randomly. The computer brings stuff up, and they say, today you test Joanne on Frenchy fries. So you get Joanne, you go back through it and you take a test on French fries. If you've been there 10 years, you retake the test on Frenchy fries. So it's all kept in there. And then also we do peer reviews. We don't do the manager does not rate the people. The people that you're working with rate you. We got this idea from pipeline manufacturer in Mississippi that they were doing that, and we talked to them. We got that idea. We thought it'd be wouldn't maybe work at first if you didn't like somebody, give them a bad rating. We haven't found that happen. People do it, and they rate the person in confidence on the computer, and it disappears into a database with all the rest of the people that rated that person, and you can't tell who rated the manager. Nobody can tell who rated who what. The only thing they get the final score, what maybe 6 or 8 or 10 people have rated that person. Then they sit down with that person and have that person to rate themselves. Strangely enough, it's usually that the person will rate themselves lower than their peers rated them. So then they talk about this, excuse me, what their peers have rated them, what they've rated themselves, and the answer is somewhere between there. So it's rated on a scale of 1 to 5. And in there we see where they need improvements, or where they feel like they need improvements, or their peers feel like they need improvement. So it's really worked out for us. It's having the peer reviews rather than a manager work for them. Because this is part of Cystine, and we have tweaked it and all over years and years to have that process right. So it runs our whole company. I mean, we've got it where it takes care of our accounting, and we have an outside accounting firm, but the managers write all the checks, owner operators, they write all the checks to the vendors, and they write payroll checks. It's like having a single store, and they operate it.
You're talking about how when you went to go pick up the Baldrige Award, someone asked you, how can you justify
the training?
Time and
training. Yeah, that was at Baldrige in Washington. There's about 1,500 people there, and the winners were lined up on the stage and got from about the middle of the room. So I got a question for Pal Barger, because we'd told them we had individual breakout seminars, and we told them about all this. And so he said, what if you spend all that time and money training them and then they leave? And I said, well, what if you don't and they stay? One person that's working for us that worked for a national franchise, they opened a new store. They gave her 2 hours per person allowed for training. They would pay for 2 hours per person training. And she told us that after she came with us, but she was a store manager, and she had gone around with that chain, stores that were underperforming, and she would try to get them back up to a better performance level. When we open a new store, of course the operators had that training, 3 to 4 years training, and then he hires assistant managers about 6 months ahead. He'll have 4 to 5 assistant managers, and we'll put them in other stores where that other operator, because the other operators have free help for that by training that person, and we'll move them so they don't get overloaded in one store. They'll go to different stores and train, and then the hourly people will get 120 hours of training in other stores, and we'll put 3 or 4 or 5 of them in a store, and depending on which is the closest, and so they get training. So the day that store opens, the only thing that we have to worry about is them getting used to working with each other. I kind of compare it to a surgeon or a dentist. You might have the best dental assistant in the world, but if they go to work for a new dentist, they have to get used to knowing what tool to hand without saying anything. So they just know by the way he holds his hand or the way he looks at them or whatever, they need this tool or to do the process. So that's a problem. That's it. That's what we have to do, is get those people coordinated together so they know if somebody's making big piles and they're not busy and somebody gets an order for 8 hot dogs, they know they can just slide right there and wrap them for them. So without even saying anything, But at first they probably have managers that have to say, move over and help her wrap those hot dogs, so they knew that at the other store, but the person maybe working with them new in the store doesn't know that. But we find that store, you have to have that store operating like they've been running for years the first day that you open. So we spend that money up front training. It's an investment, just like cinder blocks and asphalt. I mean, you have to train, and you're going to lose them. Some, but you don't know which ones, and you don't know when. So you better train all of them, and not say, well, if they're here for 3 months, I'll train them. Yeah. By that time, your business is gone. We have a leadership pipeline development, we call it, and we used to get about 80% of our operators outside, 20% inside of the company. But now it's kind of reversed. We're getting about 80% in and 20% out. And of course, it takes, if you've had food service experience, we'll get you through our training program in 2 to 3 years. But if you haven't, it usually takes about 4. I mean, they need to know how to do everything. I mean, they do. I mean, I tell you, how you going to wash dishes, teach somebody to wash dishes if you hadn't washed them yourself? So our operators go through that whole thing. One of the friends I was talking about when I was at Scobie's, and I put in a new dishwashing system. And so I told the dishwasher on Monday, I said, you take 3 days off and come back to work Thursday. He said he's going to wash dishes. I said, I'm going to wash them. But I put a whole new line in and everything. And if I didn't know how to use it, how'd I expect a dishwasher at that time? He's a great guy, about 3rd grade education. He just did what he was told to do. So I spent 3 days washing dishes, knew how many racks I had to use, how long it took to dry at the end of the dishwasher coming out, see if the garbage disposal and everything was working right, and then showed the bus boys and stuff in the meantime where you put this, where you put that, and you put the silverware in here, which the dishwasher couldn't have got that concept going. But then he came back on Thursday, and I had it all set up and showed him how to wash dishes. So if you hadn't washed them, you can't show somebody how to do it, So, but anyway, the guy came through later, and it was on a Saturday night, and he was back there washing dishes. And he said, where's your dishwashers? I said, that's him. He said, I've got 7. How does he do that? I said, don't tell him he can't do it. He doesn't know he's not supposed to be able to do that. So anyway, we were doing about the same volume, and he had 7 dishwashers, and we had 1. So it's all in the systems, and you have to know the systems before. Like one time, we had a class from UT that came up, food service or whatever, in the hospitality business, with a teacher. We were asking questions and everything, and one of the students told me, said, we've been to lots of operations and looked at them. Said, you're the only one that knew everything about your operation. I mean, some people would know about the kitchen, some didn't know a thing about training waiters or waitresses, anything. Said, but you were the only one that we ever had that knew everything about your whole operation. They're talking about it at Scobie's, you know. So it's you got to get in and do it all before you can train somebody to do it all. You know, we've got Rob Thompson, myself, and Tom Crosby, their president, and Rob's our chief information officer, and myself, and I vacation a lot. I'm gone probably half the time. So, but there's just the three of us, maybe 2.5 of us, that are. We don't have any district managers. We don't have area supervisors. The operators do these duties, and they know when we go to open a new store, we'll have 3 different operators in a day there for about 3 weeks, and they may bring one of their key people with them, and they help with the new operations, and then they're not only helping that new operator to get things tuned up and get going good, but they're also learning, well, this is in a new store and I didn't know that, or maybe something that guy's learned that the other operator hadn't learned. You know, maybe little tricks that everybody can help everybody with. And another thing, in addition to them helping operate stores, you know, like I say, they do all the operations, flow charts and everything, updates, and they do the things that middle management would ordinarily do. So they can make the money that the middle management, if they didn't, they wouldn't make so much money, because we'd have to take that from them to pay those people for middle management. But now another thing that we do, like when we have somebody in the leadership pipeline development, we have one thing that they do, the health reports. The state comes around twice a year, every 6 months. We have this person, this operator that's in the pipeline, he'll go to like two stores a day, and he'll do a complete health inspection. Okay, then as they move on and get back into the store, then another thing we do, we send them out with a list of 532 items to look for in the store. This is not a health inspection. This is another job that they'll do, and they'll go to 1 or 2 stores depending on what they can do in a day. So, and they get around to all of the stores. And this serves 2 purposes. The guy that's doing the inspection, or the lady, whatever, is learning from that operator. They're getting introduced to them on a personal one-on-one basis, so they become part of the family, and they're in the meantime they're learning, and the new person is learning that we're particular about these 532 items. They better not be on an electrical plate. There better not be any dust in the little screw slots. You know, I mean, we get that fine-tuned. I mean, it's right down to the wire. When we have a state health inspection, it's usually a crack in the floor, a refrigerator gasket has a kink in it, stacked dishes where they were wet or something. We never get a 5-point violation. You know, I think our health score runs about 97.5 average. You know. But it's maybe some of the old floors where we don't have tile, we have cracks, and we just have to take that point, you know. But anyway, this is part of that training. That's why it takes 4 years to get to a store. And we want to make sure that person is absolutely ready to run that store. And that's why we put other operators in with them for 3 weeks, because they've got so much pressure on them about scheduling and everything else, so that operator can take some responsibility off of them for the first 2 or 3 weeks, so that till they get kind of in tune and know volume we're going to do and that kind of thing. So, but we overhire because we know we're going to lose some people. We'll have a kid maybe, oh yeah, I want to work at night 3 nights a week, and I want to work all summer, and they get in a grade, oh, I'm going to have to quit. My parents said that. So we know about how many to hire and how many we wind up with. So we'll hire maybe a third more than we're going to need, because we need them to start with, and we know they're going to a certain percentage of them are going to leave anyway, you know. So that's kind of some of the things that we do on our training.
Well, you have very low turnover in your management.
We've lost 5 since 1981. We had 2 retired. We had one that had a stroke and couldn't work, and we had to let 2 go for reasons. But anyway, 5 operators since 1981 is all we've lost.
There's a theme of efficiency and innovation in your life. Have you been aware of this?
Well, I guess when I was in service, that kind of got me kind of started on it, to know that it would be, and then seeing 2Js too. I mean, I saw how they were doing it, and then going on the trips and everything, and seeing how the good operations were run, everything. So, yeah. I was a kid. I threw my clothes on the floor. Mother had to pick up, So, but no, I hadn't always been that way. From a kid, I haven't. But I think I think it's a lot easier to be organized than it is to do that. Yeah, my closet is, whatever. I've got my suits lined up by colors, or pants by colors, and shirts in certain sections, and turned the same way. All the hangers turn the same way. My grandmother told me that years ago. She said, you need to turn all your hangers the same way, because if you have a fire, you can go in there and get them and pull them off. If the hangers are turned opposite, you can't do that, and your clothes will burn up. One time, we were at a restaurant convention for the Tennessee. When I was on the board of directors, we had a long table with the speaker and a podium here. I was on one end of the table, and Archie Campbell was on the other end, and he was going to be the speaker for the entertainment or whatever. So this guy was talking, and Archie and I got to rolling an imaginary ball behind him. The audience could see what was happening, but the people at the head table, because we'd kind of pushed our chairs back, and I was rolling the ball, and he'd get it and he'd roll it back, And one time he went and he acted like he missed it, and he said, "Go get it." I said, like mouth, "Go get it." I said, "No, you go get it." Well, the guy was talking serious, and the audience was there's about 300 people there, and they were absolutely broken up. And the guy couldn't figure if I was belly laughing at his serious talk. So we had fun with that. Delight customers in a way that creates loyalty. You've got, if you can remember their name or remember what they order, or people come in and say, "Want the usual," and I mean, people like recognition, no matter whether they're buying a hamburger or whether they're buying a car. We're going to make mistakes, but if we do, if we can recover from them and turn it into a positive rather than a negative, And we've got what we call a lot of people call it a complaint chart. We call it an opportunity chart. If we can capture a complaint, you left tomatoes off my big pal, and if we can capture that, we'll do whatever it takes. We'll give them their money back, replace their food, or go home with them and mow their yard. Whatever it takes to make a customer happy. So we have communication, and it's like a family with all of our operators, because if you and I are operating, say, a Clown Burger, and we're a store manager, and our next level of promotion is to be a supervisor to look after 3 stores, you're my enemy. I'm not going to tell you any secrets that I have that makes me better than you. I might tell my other guy over at another hamburger place, a friend of mine, so he can do the same thing in his franchise or his concept or whatever. But we're enemies. And the same thing when you reach that level where you're looking after 3 stores, you're wanting that next job where you look after 3 or 4 of those supervisors. At that point, you're still enemies, But ours, the ultimate job is a store owner. We call them owner-operators. They do everything within that store, just like a mom and pop store. They do it. They have their own store without having a financial investment, and they work for the bottom line, just like you would if you owned the store. We take our percentage on sales, so they have to be responsible for food costs, labor costs, whatever. So don't you think And when they get together, that they don't want anybody at any pals to get a bad hot dog or tomatoes left off of a big pal. They're going to do everything in their power to help the other operators, and I think that's the way it should be. I mean, the other way is just you're competitive within your company, you know. So, but anyway, it works for us. And when we have our steering committee meeting, we're at 3 o'clock. They're here usually by 2, and they're talking to each other in little bunches, different things, and swapping ideas. And that's what we do at the meetings. And also a couple of other times during the month, we go on the computer and then the telephone, and everybody's on there at like 8:30 on Tuesday, and we communicate that with the thing, whatever we're going to talk about on the computer screen. So we have a meeting then without them leaving the store. But once a month, everybody gets together and talks. So it's like a big family, like a brother helping a sister, you know. So, and we think we've created that kind of an atmosphere, and I think that's one reason that we're successful is because of that concept. And then I reworked the lease and licensing agreement so that they can't do anything else. They have to do that one store. They can't have they can't have rental property or anything. They have to. I say it's just like being president of the United States. You invest your money in something that you have no control over, in stocks or bonds or savings or CDs or whatever. But you can't have rental property, or you can't have anything else. When you go to bed at night, I want you to dream about selling hamburgers. Not if the toilet's stopped up, you have to get out at 10 o'clock and go unstop a rental apartment's got a toilet stopped up. So, but they can concentrate that effort, and if they stay there, they can do better than they can out trying to do other things. And we haven't had any complaints because that's where they need to be. And they're not in the office; they're out in the front with the customers, constantly training. And if you come up to the store and look through the window, you wouldn't know which one's the owner operator, which one's assistant manager, which one's worker, because he's out there doing the same thing as everybody else. So, but we do a lot of labor-saving things like that, so that operator can be his primary job is training and being in customer contact. So that's where you need to be, not sitting back in the office trying to send out reports in 12 copies to different headquarters that nobody's going to read. So they don't have to report that to us. They do because they're in business for themselves. And and like ordering, when we make a hot dog, it takes a portion of mustard and onions and wiener and a bun out. So then then it automatically generates an order. So you know what you're going to need. And if there's something special like Fun Fest or something that's going to be special, or it snows, to either reduce or increase your order. But we've got a standard that you come to, which you can decrease or increase it if you're having special occasion. But it'll tell you how to get back to what you had in stock. Of course, we get deliveries 3 times a week. What we do, I'll take French fries for instance. Just take a product. Tom and I, we've been out to Idaho a couple of times. We work with the manufacturer out there, and we establish a price based on the field price of potatoes. So we have just like the meat on Chicago meat prices, So you have a standard there that and then they add their. We know if we're paying so much for field price potatoes, the price is so much. And we say, you send that to IJ, which is our main distributor, and then they add a percentage on to that for their profit. So with using, I may be getting ahead of myself, but by using Baldrige principles, the first thing we did, we cut our suppliers from 21 or 2 to 4. And so consequently, we're married to that supplier. If somebody comes in and wants to give us a penny a pound cheaper on French fries, we don't do that, because we know they can't do that, because we know we're getting a good deal. We know what it is, and people are entitled to make a profit. I mean, if they can't make a profit, they can't serve us. We're as much concerned about them making a profit as we're concerned about us making a profit. So that's kind of the way we do it. And the more that they can put on the truck to us, and the more poundage, they can do it. They can do it cheaper, you know. So anyway, we've done that with our wieners, with our with most all of our big products. But we still have a understanding on things that we haven't done that with, say like salt or pepper or something like that, the smaller items, that we still have that same deal with our supplier. But we negotiate that, Tom does, and with the supplier, and then of course we're looking after the operator. If we get rebates on something, you know, then it goes to the operator. It doesn't go to us, because it doesn't go to the main office. But it goes. We work hard to make sure that those operators make a profit. Like I said, I told you before, we took our suppliers and cut them from 21 to 4, and consequently we got lower prices, and we kind of did that wrong. I guess we took that one thing out of context. We should have just started at first of Aldrich and gone all the way through. But we had some resistance. Well, I've been in the restaurant business 20 years. I don't need to change. I know how to do it. So we told them, we're going to do this, and if you don't want to do it, we're going to carry you. We're going to do your job. So we had, you know, about a third of them bought in immediately and got excited about it, and then one by one they came in. It took about 18 months to get everybody bought in. And I think that was one thing that helped when they saw getting better prices on their product. But one of the main things that we did, we were paying, I think at the time, we were paying about 50 cents more for a half a gallon of milkshake mix than our competitors. So we went to the dairy and we asked them and we told them this, and they said, well, this is what we've got to have. I said, what's your problem? Tom and I talked to them and said, well, we have a problem with the drivers not showing up and our trucks tearing up and everything. So the delivery, they went at that time to Greenville, Tennessee, and got the mix and brought it back over here, and then they delivered it from here, from our store. So we asked them, said, well, where do you have other milkshake plants? And they gave us all their locations where they manufactured mix. And so then we took that map, we went to IJ without telling them anything, we just like to know, and went to IJ and said, if we could get the dairy, I said, we asked them, where are you going and deadheading back, not having anything to haul back? And they were going to Newport News and coming back empty. So we found a milkshake plant on the way back, and we asked them, would you like to stop there and fill your trailer up with milkshake mix and deliver it to our stores along with the rest of our product? They said, great, we'd be glad to do that. It'd be great. So we went to the dairy and we told them what we had worked out, and they said, that's great. They said, we'd like to, and they'd get rid of so many trucks. We did that for about 6 months. And then they went to IJ, the milkshake supplier, said, would you do that with all of our customers in this area that you supply? And they said, well, sure, we'd be glad to do that. So it was a win-win-win. You know, we got, the dairy got rid of their problems. IJ picked up new business with the milkshake mix, and consequently we got our milkshake mix down 50 cents a gallon, and also on the other products, because we added more weight to the delivery trucks with IJ, and so we got our products cheaper, and the operators won because they got their milkshake mix cheaper, and you know, the dairy won there. And the next year they told us they dropped an additional $1 million to their bottom line by doing that. You know, so you know, sometimes a little guy can influence a big guy because they just, like I say, can't see the forest for the trees. They didn't think about doing that. So anyway, that was a win-win-win. Everybody's happy. Baldridge, one of the things they kind of expect you to do is to help other people do that. We applied in 2000 and didn't win. There was 51 companies applied. I think maybe 4 won. We didn't win, but we get our feedback report from Baldridge, and out of 51 companies, we scored higher than any companies and didn't win. and because the lady, there was, in fact, later Baldrige issued us a formal apology because the lady could not understand where all of our secretaries and accountants and middle management and all that, they just couldn't understand how we were doing that without all those people. And then Tom has his office down at Revere Street, and it's my office that I had to start out with, and that's where he likes to be because he can be at the store where we train managers after they've been out in other stores, and they come in there for Tom to finish up the training with them before they go on to maybe 6 months before they get a store to go into another high volume pals and then get their own store. So he's there to train, or people come in and got a product they want to try, or, a new process, something. We've got all the equipment there to try it, and he likes to be there. And the lady said the president is in an office next to a dumpster, so she thought that was not right for a Baldrige winning company to be next to a dumpster, have an office there. So anyway, even though we scored higher than anybody, we didn't win. But in that process, we thought we would. So we got together the business excellence system. David McClaskey had retired from Eastman, and he did quality there. So we partnered. He was doing classes. So this is a fit. Let's just do this together. And so we got David, and we got Powell's Business Excellence Institute started. And so when the people came in, of course, Tom did most of it to start with. When people came in, it wasn't immediate, but after we had won, then the people came in, and we would take about 2 hours and tell them kind of what we were doing, and then, and of course with the BEI we expanded that. We have paid classes now that comes in, and it was pretty hectic there after we first won it. We had people come from all over the world to see us, particularly restaurants and things, to see how a little hamburger joint in the hills of East Tennessee could win the Baldrige Award, or what have I got to learn from them? I'm a big manufacturer and all. So we recently, the last class we had one that was in healthcare that had 600 offices. We had another convenience market that has stores nationwide, 600 of them. The president and one of his people came in to take our classes. So lots of times you can learn a lot from a little guy, so. We kind of flattered by that people come in, but they've been coming to BEI from Australia, Korea, Japan. We have people in here all the time, and then lots of times we'll travel to other places. If they've got 30 or 40 people on 10 classes, like we've been to Washington State, to Texas, and take our classes to them rather than 30 or 40 people coming in here. So that's been successful, and we've been able to share our quality principles and with other companies, not only restaurants, but other hospitals, schools, manufacturers. All Baldrige principles applies to anything. And that's one thing that we found out by assessing ourselves with Baldrige. We thought we were in the service business, but by doing assessments, we found out we were in the manufacturing business. Well, first we're in the manufacturing business, we're in the education business, and then we're in the service business. We're just like a car manufacturer, and they bring in pre-assembled products and put them together, and manufacture some in the store. So we're the same way. We make a hot dog, we bring in our buns and mustard and stuff from outside, and our wieners, and we assemble that product.
They have 22 locations?
We have 22 pals, yeah.
And it's a 100-mile radius that you're working in?
Well, we're about 50 or 60, really. Yeah, the map, of course, you can look at that later, but it's here with our flags where we have locations, and then the black flags are potential locations. We have one in Norton that we're going to and start in the middle of April, but the other things we don't have any lots or anything yet, but that's where we're looking in no particular order where the black flags are.
Do you have any idea under the efficiency-wise how many you could have and work it as well as you do now, as small as it is?
We think we can do 40, well, like that. And then I think when you get bigger than that, you'd have to go to another area and put But we probably wouldn't do that. We'd probably do another concept within our market, you know. But, yeah, we'll probably, I mean, we'll not go to Knoxville or Charlotte or Atlanta or any place, you know. So we'll just stay here. We don't want to be the biggest. We just like to be the best. So I mean, you know, and when you do get bigger, and if you start franchising, you get a bunch of people that they get 5 doctors and they decide they're going to franchise a concept, and then they get some. Say, now we got this store built, where we're going to get a $30,000 idiot to run them, you know, because I know you see that all the time. I mean, they have no interest in. The only thing they do enough to keep the paycheck coming. Now there's exceptions, but most of the time you'll see franchises and they got to tell you what to do, and the franchises are suing the franchisees, and or vice versa. So we think we've got a good concept, and we don't necessarily see, and we have to expand worldwide, because you know you only drive one car at a time and go on vacation. So as long as you're happy, and I mean, why should you make so much money you don't know what to do with? Of course, you know, we do charities and things like that, and we're fortunate enough to be able to do that and give back to the communities that we're in. But and we encourage all our operators to, you know, get involved with the chamber, different things in their community. So, yeah, we do one a year. Maybe we might do 2 if things were just exactly right and we had the operator.
Any vision for the Pals Corporation?
No, we just kind of continue doing what we're doing. We just kind of open one a year, and you know, we seem to have other projects along the way. You know, we have this office here where Rob and I are, and then we have the training center here, and we have our shops in the back. We have a wood shop and storage for supplies for existing stores. And when I took over Scobie's, I bought land next door in 1971 where there was a truck terminal, and all these years I've had it leased out to different people. And recently, Pet Dairy, I went over and asked him if I told him I was going to build another building this size right on the land behind the truck terminal here for our new stores, and we were getting crowded here with for new equipment and metal shop and different things like that. We don't do fabrication, but if we need some welding and different things done, and so they said, yeah, and then he set the lease, and they come back and said, no, we're closing the Pet. So I said, well, we'll just use the truck terminal. So we've got 3,500 square feet up there, and we put in, we have 3 offices up there. We have an office for David McClaskey, our BEI person, and then we have a conference room. If this is busy here, we've built a conference room up there with a big screen TV so we can project on the wall, and we have a little maintenance office, and then we have storage, and we'll bring in new equipment for the new stores up there. And we also have a construction trailer that we take on the job, and that will be, we put all the electrical and plumbing and everything in that trailer in bins. So that's where the electricians and the plumbers shop. They just go into the trailer and get what they need. So we know from past buildings, we know exactly what we need, how many copper L's and how many nails and screws and so forth that we use. And we put those in bins, and we have them organized like that. So the electrician's got an area and the plumber's got an area, and different people have where they have that. And we have a desk in it and have a refrigerator for water for the workers and things. And so we just we'll keep that lined up here with the doors open so we can come in and out and put stuff in. And we'll get ready to go on a job. We pull the trailer. We had an old one, but it was too low to the ground to fit on one of those doors, so we got a new 48 feet. We had a 40-foot moving van, and we'll still use that for concrete forms and extra wood and things, but we'll keep it here on the premises and take the 48-foot on the job. So it saves us a lot of time going to the store to get it all at one time instead of going to the store 100 times. Come on up. Watch it. Ladder that it's on wheels, make sure.
Oh, so it is.
Don't believe me, did you?
Okay.
See, we're in the process of moving the stuff from the other trailer to this, and we haven't gotten the labels, haven't gotten all the labels and all on this. But each one of them, and we can divide them here. We've got some of the dividers if we need to divide, and we'll have all of the electrical, plumbing, everything but asphalt and cinder blocks come in here. And then the electricians and all, they shop in here and get what they need, because we know from previous construction exactly what we need. And then we have a desk here, and then right here we're building another place for the plans. We'll have it sloped out so you can have a copy of the plans. Then we've got the refrigerator here and we put soft drinks and water all in the refrigerator, and saves time. We furnish them for all of the contractors and label. They just come get what they want. Saves time going to the store. And then back here, we'll keep our tools locked up here. We've got for tools, and they have to check them out of here if they need a shovel or a rake or whatever, or any kind of tool we keep locked up back there. And then we haven't fixed it yet, but back here on this left side here will be that'll be a place for conduit and pipes and things, log pipes, and we have the racks that go there on that side, and they get them from there.
Excellent.
See there now, I'm okay, see? I'll hold it for you when you get out. We're having steps built for this that'll slide out. We'll put them in, that's just temporary.
Can you tell us a little bit about your sculptures here? They're wonderful.
Yeah, Tony Baroni is the same guy that designed the pals, Karen and Tony Baroni, and they did those and shipped them in here. They're in California now. So we've got a hamburger there. On the other side, you can't see it, it's a fork with a French fry on it. French fries upside down. Hot dog, cheddar rounds, and a tea to go. Got tea on wheels.
Alrighty. Efficiency. Yeah. Do you have a usual crew that builds these things, right?
Yeah, Hal Carmack, he's been building them since the start. He built the Old West for us, and he built the first store, Colonial Heights. He's built every one since then. He's a contractor on it. So, and then he hires the subs and supervises it.
And how fast do they go up a new store?
Well, they don't go fast. He built Stone Drive, and that was the fastest one in 5 weeks. But now it takes about $3 with everything. And we've expanded the building. The Stone Drive and Colonial Heights had an upstairs. They were 37 feet long, and now we listened to our employees, listened to our suppliers. They didn't like climbing the steps to take product up and back down and everything. So we went from 37 feet, 2 stories, to 57 feet, and now we're 60 feet. So 60 or 61 feet long for the stores, and it's all on one level. So it takes a little longer. We've kind of gotten more equipment and different things in. So it usually takes about 2.5, 3 months. If we don't, we could probably do it a little faster, but we don't get in a big hurry. Make sure everything's right, and we try to get the people to work that we're used to working with. We try to use the same electricians and people that's familiar with it. So the subs. Yeah, I think you got to take care of your community. They take care of you. So, and we encourage all of our operators to do the same in their towns. Well, let's see. I guess we're about wound up with that, aren't we? Gives you a general idea. If you get through, if you want to go get some lunch, we can run and get lunch. We're going to go down to Sharon and have a hamburger or something.